Good morning, everyone. I'm Julie Livingston with Want Leverage Communications, here for another episode of PR Patter, my semi-weekly show where I chat with the amazing people from across my public relations and marketing network. I'm so excited to share my expertise with you as I'm a LinkedIn and marketing communications specialist. If you like what you see today, go to my website at wantleverage.com and download our free tip sheet. Make your C-suite stand out on LinkedIn. It's got a lot of great tips and takeaways. Today, I'm excited to have on the broadcast Howard Levy. He's president of Red Rooster Group, and he helps nonprofit organizations achieve greater success. Over the past 30 years, Howard has helped hundreds of nonprofits across a range of causes to revitalize their brands, define their marketing strategies, and raise more money. That's the key. That's the key right
That's
there,
right.
Howard. He specializes in harnessing behavioral psychology, effective storytelling strategies, and action design principles to motivate people to donate and take action. For the past 2 years, he's been diving into generative AI as a tool for strategy and content. And today he's going to share some tips. But before we get to the tips, Howard, can you just share a little bit more about your backstory, how you formed Red Rooster Group and how you got started?
Yeah, sure, Julie. Thanks for having me on too. Um, I started this 30 years ago
Wow.
because I believe in the power of nonprofits in the world. And you have businesses, they're kind of taking the lion's share of attention. We have Wall Street, we live and die by the stock exchange, and we have newspapers dedicated to the business sector. The public sector gets very little recognition, but it's a big part of the economy. 9% of the GDP, 10 or 11% of the workforce is employed in the nonprofit sector. So it's kind of an under the radar support system for our society, and it's really vital in every form, from helping people, the arts, the environment, to all aspects. And so I started the group as one of the first marketing companies, in fact, to specialize in the nonprofit sector. It was back
Really?
when we were even like half of the amount of nonprofits, or even less than that, than they are now. And so it's become a more vital force in our society. And as organizations have grown to, large sizes, there's also a lot of smaller organizations out there scrambling for attention, and they need the marketing tools that big businesses have to capitalize on consumer attention and just try, do the good work, accomplish their missions, and get the attention, and as you said, the money of people to do the good work.
That's great. Um, so tell me, I mean, AI is on everybody's radar these days, right? And a lot of people are fearful of it. They're not sure what it can do for them. But you really dove into the space. And so why did you do that? And why is it important to embrace AI from a creative perspective?
Yeah, yes. I mean, there's different kinds of AI also, and AI, artificial intelligence, has been around for a long time. I mean, for many decades, in fact. If you, if you recall, IBM Watson chess beating the Gary Kasparov in the chess. So it's machine learning that has been experimented with in many different ways over the decades, and it's really come to kind of a culmination with the, not a culmination, but it came to the public attention a couple of years ago when Chat GPT was released to the public. And so it's kind of the first time that consumers had the ability to get their hands on some tools that companies were using. The companies are using predictive analysis, for example, in Netflix, predicting the movies, Amazon, even, decades, earlier on recommendations of books based on what
Sure.
you've bought. And some big companies, the credit card companies and Target and all, are using, data scientists analyzing data and using predictive analysis. But the newer AI is really large language models, LLMs, and so Chat basically gave the ability for people to take advantage of that, to create generative AI, so generating content, generating images, and now not through Chat but other things, generating text to audio, text to video, and other kinds of things. So there's a huge amount of power that consumers or businesses, nonprofits, have to be able to create content and effectively, efficiently. And I want to go into some examples. I want to talk also more about how it can be used as a collaborator, because I think there's a really
I'd
interesting.
love to hear that. And I mean, how can it open up your creativity?
Yeah. So the paradigm I like to use is kind of a shift from using the tool as a slave to a collaborator. So when you have a task to do, you could ask it to do something, kind of treat it like a slave. Hey, do this for me. Write a
Right.
press
Sure.
release. Right? You're in the news business, write a press release. And what we'll do is we'll aggregate the knowledge of having the large language model, having read all the press releases, not all, but millions of press releases. So it knows the format, and it will be able to generate a news release in that format, or anything else for that matter, a fundraising letter or whatever it would be. But to get it to be, those are kind of expected and formulaic types of writing. But if you wanted to be creative, you have to push it past that. And if you want
Sure.
to use it in a strategic way to kind of get real value out of it, you have to kind of push it past that. So you treat it as a collaborator, as a back and forth partner to help you think through things and get to a place that you would not have arrived at otherwise, or you would have taken a long time to get to. But I like to think it could get you to other places. So when you set up questions like help me understand this market, and describing
Right.
particular market, you can start to already dive in without preconceived notions, without asking it for an assessment of something. You can start to understand what are the dynamics, what are the forces, what are the trends, who are the major entities and players in the sector, the competitors, who the audiences, and you start to dive in and treat it as a back and forth collaborator, asking, tell me more about that. Tell me more about these competitors. Telling more about how they go about that. What are the industry benchmarks there? What are the studies that have been done? What's the evidence that could support that? And within very short period of time, you're having you're getting a rich understanding of an area that would have taken you a long time to come to on your own.
So it's really saving a lot of time.
It saves a lot of time. It empowers you with more knowledge, and like, what am I not asking? What don't I know? So beyond just the time, I think it's helping you to think a little differently. If you ask it in a collaborative, iterative way, rather than just like say, you can say, write me a marketing plan. That's fine. And there are prompts for that. And there are good prompts. And they'll say, break it out by the goal and the audience and so forth. Here's like an example. We're working with an organization as a membership organization, and we're looking to get members for them. And so you could just say, here's the organization, give me a marketing plan, or give me some marketing ideas. But first I said, like, what do you know about the organization? Let me see, if it could find relevant information. Does it understand its priorities in the appropriate way, and the initiatives? Is it missing any information? So before we even started with like the marketing plan or the membership plan, you can go into the competitors and ask it about that.
So it's really, I just want to stop you for a second.
Yeah,
it's really so much about the prompts and what you feed it, right? So that you'll get it to give you the right answers.
That's exactly right. Yeah, prompting is a big thing, and thinking about what kind of questions you could ask. And you could ask it to, what are the questions I should be asking? You don't have to start like with the end. You could just, if as a collaborator, if you and I, Julie, were working together on a project, you would probably ask me some questions, right? You wouldn't just say, hey, let's create this thing together. What do you know about this? How should we go about it? How should we frame this? What are the questions we should ask? What assumptions are we making? What do we know about the audience? Right? Those are all questions as opposed to answers yet, so treating it in that way, it gets you further, but also you learn. I think this is like, people see it kind of as a tool for output. Like, oh, we got this material, which is great. It does. But if it can help you think better and challenge your assumptions and show you what you're not asking, you become smarter as a result of that, or you could learn how to open your mind to think differently. I think there's a great thought about belief that it's going to inhibit people or eventually make them dumber because you're just asking it to do things for you, which may be the case. If you're just asking it to churn out things,
Right.
then you're not like putting any thought into it. But if you can use it as a partner to help you think through things and then challenge it and say, why did you say this? What are the three best ways to reach this market? Well, why did you say that? What are you basing that on? It may not always be true or accurate or the best thing. So, seeing it as a collaborator that you challenge and you ask back and forth, you get more.
So you really need to make AI your friend.
You do. I think so. I think we're at the early stage of this where people are exploring how to use these tools. And I've been using on behalf of some clients, one in particular, doing a lot of great stuff. I'll share some examples with you.
Great.
But like, to me, the real power comes in not in us as an agency or an outside force using it. That's true. We could do that, but it's really helping the organization to take advantage of that in a more systemic way. So, like, for example, I'll kind of take you through.
That'd be great.
Okay, so it's a nonprofit organization, and they do job training, great programs, people at kind of an entry level, and go and take a class in in culinary or construction or medical assistant, and you're going to come out with a ability to get a job at a higher level and be on a better career path now with a specialty. So it's so we're doing all their marketing, their fundraising, communication. So we do their newsletter. We wrote, there were some articles on a success story, one on a program. So to the program one, to build that out, it was a graduation of one of the classes, and the communications manager was on with me on a Zoom, and he said, we were talking about the program, getting some information to write up the description. He goes, they're graduates. It's a little noisy because they're in the next room. I said, great. Right. We're on Zoom. Fathom is running as an AI note taker. I said, great, take your phone, go in the other room while we're on Zoom with the Fathom recording this, and let me do the interviews, soft interviews with them. Hey, how'd you find out about this program? Why are you what do you get out of it and all that? We talked to 7 people. And after I had Fathom copy the transcript from Fathom and put it into Chat GPT and say, give me the quotes, the best quotes, from each of the people there, each of the students. And now we had, I checked them, and we had quotes. We used 3 of them with their photos in the newsletter, and it brought the story to life. We would not have had that otherwise.
Some of it was fortuitous, right? That they happened to be in the next room.
It was. But here's what I was saying about making that systematic is like, they know that's going to happen, every month or whatever the cohorts graduate. Let's try to build a process in by which they can capture those stories on a regular basis using, doing a recording. You could do those interviews easily, and have Fathom record it and then have Chat, make, get quotes, or ask it to set up GPT where it identifies different questions to ask, and it extracts that information. What was your challenge, or what was the outcome, whatever the things might be, and start to build a database of a library, of success stories that could be used now, not just in the newsletter, but on the website and social media, et cetera. So figuring out how to build that process, into their workflow, to leverage Chat, to leverage any AI tools as part of their marketing plan, now helps them to get exponentially more content, communicate better with their constituents, and do it in a way that's not adding more staff. I mean, that's, to me, the real magic of where AI is going to hit the road. Is the first phase is us using the tools, and the second is how businesses or nonprofits institutionalize that into their work stream.
How does it help you to kind of enhance divergent thinking?
So I was on a call with Chava Shapiro. She's a writer, and she did a webinar on using AI, and she used it to. I've seen this before, actually, with someone else. Is customer sentiment analysis. So it's to understand the perspective of your customers. So if there's publicly available information somewhere, like Yelp reviews, for example, or any kind of customer feedback or information, you can scrape all that and put it into chat or another Claude or whatever app you like, and ask it to identify what are the emotions that people are feeling. How do they, or ask it specific questions. What's their understanding of your organization or your product? How do they use it? Specific things. And so it can take a lot of this information and digest it quickly, provide it back to you, and then you could do stuff with it, right? So you can create personas. You can create, as opposed to going out and trying to interview lots of people, you can, ask it to develop personas of users at different demographics or usage points or whatever the case may
Sure.
be. And then you can have it to do role playing. This is so cool, Julia. You can have
Ah,
it actually like do fake mock interviews with these personas, and you can talk to them and, talk, so to speak, and ask them, well, what was your challenge with it? How did you find us? What was your interest? What were you thinking about it? What were you, how did you go about it? What other things were you, considering, things like that.
that's
Um,
very cool.
it's so
That
great.
is
So
such a time saver. Oh my God.
it's it's like new capabilities, and it's a new ways of leveraging the data that's out there without doing the old fashioned way of rounding up people for focus groups and things like that. She created a chart. It was for a nonprofit organization, some type of social service organization, and she had it create a kind of a before and after scenario with kind of a day in the life of a imaginary constituent. So let's say Maria. So on the before side is, Maria wakes up and she has her son who has autism, and kid's not eating breakfast, and then she has to get him off to school and whatever all the challenges are during
Yeah.
the day. And so it was a chart that identified the actual things that happened and her pain points, and, like what she would have liked to have happened, for example. And then in the after scenario, the imaginary idealized version of what happens with her after she's engaging with the organization and the kinds of help, that she can get. So on that same kind of daily schedule from in the morning and at 9 a.m., 10 a.m., etc. So you now have such amazing capability to create lifelike scenarios, to understand user perspectives, to reflect back the pain points, to capitalize on those pain points now in marketing materials, right? And to make things much more specific and customized to users without even doing any focus groups or anything, by using a chain of interactions that build upon each other to give you some robust outcome.
Wow.
Really fascinating.
That's really fascinating. And it's pretty remarkable that you can do that. It gives certainly nonprofits a lot of great insights that they can take action upon immediately.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, businesses as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about rapid prototyping?
Well, I mean, in some way, that's that those are the kind of iterative steps that you can take and ask
Okay.
it to go through different kinds of scenarios. I haven't done that in particular. I'm not sure what type of prototyping you're referring to, but
Well,
I
like in
imagine.
terms of design work or
So design work, I have found it less useful for design, but I've found it
okay.
useful for images and video. And I can tell you about two interesting ways of
Yeah, I'd love to
using
hear
that.
that.
So for images, chat now has the ability to create images, but I've been using, but it uses the Dolly interface, which has gotten a lot better. But I like Midjourney, which takes a little effort to set up because you have to go through this app called Discord to do it. But you put in prompts and you can get images, and there's huge libraries of styles that you can choose from if you like, or you can just ask it to create any kind of scenario and with any kind of style, whether realistic or cartoon or outline or comic book style or whatever it would be. Well, here's what I learned to do the other day, which was kind of cool. It was reference an image for the style to create more images in that same style.
Wow.
So I had a nonprofit we were doing a event promotion for their breakfast event, and I had to generate an image, and I'm like, oh, but we need more images like that. So I learned you can upload that image, reference it in the prompt, and then give other prompts like similar people, like they wanted other kinds of people and diversity, and get images that are based on that image, so they have the same style. And we create a whole library of images now for them based on that style. And so that was really nice for them to have something that they would not have had otherwise. They're stylized, so they're kind of customized, to them. And they can use them whenever they want in different instances as well.
How wonderful. And what about usage rights? Is there any kind of licensing that you have to go through, or?
No, they're publicly available on there. So if someone else sees it in the Midjourney stream, they could use it.
Okay.
It's not highly likely, but because it kind of flows through quickly, a lot of people in at a time. And those were there weren't usage rights for that. There are no issues with that in terms of them looking like they're not based on people or likenesses of celebrities or anyone else. They were just truly made up images. And we did something cool. We did something cool with video for them just the other day. They were trying to. This other nonprofit was looking to communicate their values to their employees, and they had this sheet. There was multiple pages, and it had different values on it. No one was really reading that. So how do you bring those things to life? So I took that sheet, I uploaded it into chat. And by the way, I should mention, so I created a project, which is kind of like a folder into which you can upload documents that chat can reference for the client. So we put in their brand book, we put in their strategic plan, we put in their messaging guidelines, other things like that, their annual report. I think those are the four or five PDFs that I put in. So now when it's going to respond to a query, it's going to reference those materials. So it'll capture the language and the tone and the things like that. So I asked it for help in, what are the best ways to communicate, these values? And it gave suggestions and actually created some material. So it created, hey, here's a one-pager, let's do that. Here's a little role play. Here's a scenario. Here's a video script. And so the video script was probably like 7 sentences, each person saying what that value meant to them. I used another app called HeyGen that takes AI people. You see, well, it looks like a photo of a person, but it's totally made up. You put the script in, you pair the script, that sentence in the script with the photo of the person, or you can have the same person read the whole thing. You pick a voice from another set, so you test out different voices, and you can hear the different tones and ages and all that stuff. And you pair those things together: the script, the avatar, the photo likeness, and the voice. And then you can put background with type or whatever you want to do. And then it creates the animation video. After you hit submit, then it animates it, and the people are talking and reading your script. It's a little weird. It's not exactly smooth. They kind of look like they're moving their head a little bit too much like this as their voice is synchronizing with the audio. But it was kind of that's where things are going. Those technologies will get better and more synchronized, and it'll be great. Both pros and cons. It'll be a great tool for learning and education and promotion, all that. And we'll also have to watch for deep fakes and all that kind of negative consequences that come out of that.
Wow, you're adding so much value, it seems, to your client work.
I think it's constantly moving them forward and helping them to take advantage of new things, stay ahead of the curve, captivate their audiences, be faster, smarter, more robust. I'm excited about creating a thought leadership program for the CEO. I did a 30-minute interview with him, and it was again on Zoom, recorded by Fathom. I had chat, said write 3 articles. It wrote 3 articles. We used one of them in the newsletter. Creating and then based on that in the information on the strategic plan and other stuff, like let's create thought leadership. It created op-eds. It said, would you like me to customize this for the various papers? And it named the different newspapers. This one's more business focused. I was like, wow, all right, let's see what you come up with. And then again, going back to that collaboration, like, all right, this is not, let's focus more here. Let's emphasize this. So I didn't just take what it wrote, but it was a collaborative process, but it generated that stuff. I mean, I'm not sitting there writing it.
Right.
I'm shaping it now as kind of the prompt engineer, as the architect, rather than as the main, person who's in the mud. You're kind of, someone uses the metaphor of an orchestra. And I think in some way, that's kind of what it is. You're orchestrating the responses and getting the parts to play nicely together.
How do the clients feel? I mean, it's funny. I've talked to a lot of public relations agency owners and professionals on this show, and I've asked them, do you disclose that you're using AI tools? And there's been a mix of answers. But it seems that for you, this is such a benefit to them. Your expertise in using it is such a benefit to them. Why wouldn't you tell them that you're using these tools?
It's creating in some way more opportunity for me.
Yeah.
I had, on this client who, totally, they know, the development director was expressing, after showing her the video and doing all this stuff, she's like, oh, I have this report to do. We have the stakeholder report. I'm in the middle of, trying to do that. I have to hold these charts. Do you think that you could do that? I'm like, let me see. So I took last year's. She gave me last year's. She gave me the new charts, put it in a chat. I said, create the report based on last year's, updating, with the new information. And it did that. So if we can be assets and heroes to the clients and save them, staying up all night, doing work. If we could. The real promise, what I told her in the meeting that led to that, though, was like, I want to add 5 people to your staff through AI. I mean, I truly think that having like such robust capabilities and integrating it, into your work stream, like capturing those graduates, you have so many people coming through, like you have the opportunity there, the CEO has opportunity, for thought leadership and stuff. So, but you have one person in your department.
Right.
So it's like you're losing out, to other groups or other, like, why should you like lose out because you don't have the staff? AI is like, could be your staff. Let's figure out how to use the stuff. So, if we deliver more value to them and we keep pushing the tools, on these videos and showing them other ways where they would have just put out an email and, bringing stuff to life, they're happy about that.
That's great. Howard, this has been so enlightening. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And we have your website URL here on the screen, but how can people best get in touch with you? Is it on LinkedIn?
Yeah, you can reach me on LinkedIn, Howard Adam Levy on LinkedIn, or find us, online at redroostergroup.com.
That's great. And for everyone else, if you like what you saw, please go to my website at wantleverage.com and download our free tip sheet. Make your C-suite stand out on LinkedIn, as we are experts in building thought leadership and on the LinkedIn platform specifically. And I'll see you next time on another episode of PR Patter. Thanks again, Howard.
Thanks.